2 days ago, what did you think you were going to lose?
I thought I was going to lose PIP entirely.
100%, all of it?
I wouldn't have qualified for any PIP payment under the proposals.
Katie has relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. What the government had planned in their welfare reform bill would have had untold consequences for her. A backbench rebellion has changed that.
So when the announcement was made last night, how did that feel?
It was oddly bittersweet. It's been really tough for me these last 3 months, thinking about my future. It came at an unfortunate time. I just had a relapse, and when I read about the reforms, saw what was in that green paper, I felt really bleak about the future. For people with MS who aren't yet claiming PIP and don't know if they will ever need to claim it, I think that uncertainty will have a devastating impact.
Concession of any kind, though, was not the plan for a Prime Minister intent on slashing £5 billion from the benefits bill until he was forced to.
The most important thing is that we can make the reform we need. We talked to colleagues who've made powerful representations, as a result of which we've got a package which I think will work and we can get it right. And for me, getting that package adjusted in that way is the right thing to do.
Under the new plan, now personal independence payments, or PIPs, for 370,000 people who are due to lose some or all of their payments will continue getting what they currently get. However, plan cuts will affect future claimants. Recipients of the health element of universal credit will now remain unchanged. Ministers are also expected to fast-track £1 billion of back-to-work support originally scheduled for 2029. All in, the government think this will cost them £1.5 billion. These changes were the result of a huge rebellion signed by more than 120 Labour MPs. For some of the rebels, it's still not enough.
We don't want to be voting against this bill. We want the government to pull it. We want them to seriously engage and consult disabled people, speak to backbenchers, and come back with a proposal that actually protects the dignity of disabled people.
But that's not going to happen. So in the meantime, you're just going to vote against?
Well, we have no choice. But I would far rather be in the position where we just press pause on this, go back to the drawing board, and there doesn't need to be an embarrassing vote for the government.
Government sources, though, believe they have done enough to win over far more would-be rebels. The issue then, cost. Think tanks say these reforms will actually cost £3 billion, not 1.5.
That £1.5 billion in the middle, where's that going to fit into Rachel Reeves' spreadsheets?
So what this means is the government will really have to think hard before the autumn statement around how the Chancellor meets her fiscal rules. She's obviously got a suite of options available to her, tax and spending, but it is clear that with these changes there will be billions of pounds to make up.
Look, I have taken tough decisions. We took tough decisions in the budget.
Today is a concession, more recently, screeching U-turns.
Winter fuel allowance. But we took those tough decisions as a political choice. We want to ensure that as we go forward, more pensioners are eligible for winter fuel payments.
He U-turned too on holding a grooming gangs inquiry. The question now, his judgment.
Allies of the Prime Minister would say that MPs like you are not making his life and the success of the party any easier.
I don't accept that. The problems that our government is facing are not because MPs like me are raising the alarm, and it's not just MPs on the left, it's MPs from right across the party. The problems we're facing are because of mistakes being made at the top.
The Prime Minister may have done enough to quell a revolt next week, but at what cost to his authority for all the days that follow?
Anne Paul's live in Downing Street now. Is the government confident it will get the bill through?
Yes, but they're still expecting a sizable rebellion. There's 35 members of the Socialist Group and the Labour Party. They're expecting maybe another 15, so a rebellion of about 50. What has been really noticeable today, though, is 120 people signed that amendment to bring down this bill. The vast majority of them now are expected to come on side. How many of you seen gracing your TV screens today, though? Very few of them. Talking to them off the record, they're looking at these concessions, they're looking at this two-tier benefit system. They're not comfortable with it. They're going to hold their noses and they're going to go through with it. But are they happy with the team in Downing Street at the moment? Not so much.
Well, no apology on this one, but some fascinating apologies on his other mistakes.
Yeah, the text I've had a couple of times today is, have you seen it? And they're talking about this interview that Keir Starmer's done with his biographer, Tom Baldwin, that's appeared in The Observer. He makes an apology. Oh, no, he said he deeply regrets using the phrase island of strangers when he did a speech about curbs on immigration. He regrets employing Sue Gray. There's a couple of other apologies in there. But look, that landing today after the U-turn overnight, after U-turns in the last couple of weeks, hasn't gone down well with MPs. I'm going to read to you some quotes from MPs. Now look, it is always very easy for journalists to get in touch with angry MPs who don't like a Prime Minister, and you'll get an angry comment. These aren't from those people. These are from people who back the Prime Minister, or who used to. One of them, we need a total transformation, about the team in there. We can't have the person who did the dodgy building doing the rewiring. Talking about Rachel Reeves in number 11, her chancellorship is effectively over. Look, these sorts of comments and what you've seen over the last week aren't what you expect from a government with a whopping great majority in their first year in government. It's what you expect from a government in their last year on their way out.
Paul McNamara. Well, earlier I talked to the First Minister of Wales, Eluned Morgan, who's in Llandudno for this weekend's Welsh Labour conference. The party is facing a difficult Senedd election next year, with some recent polling suggesting it's in third place behind Plaid Cymru and Reform. I began by asking whether the UK government caving into a rebellion is a sign of weakness or strength.
I think listening to the public is a sign of strength, and this is the first thing I did when I became First Minister. I went out and listened to the public and asked them what my priority should be, and I'm really pleased now that the UK government is listening to the public. There was a lot of concern, particularly here in Wales, where we know that the number of people who are going to be impacted by these welfare reforms were disproportionately larger than in other parts of the country. So it's great that he has listened, that the Labour government has heard and will now be changing direction. But I still think that there is a need for reform because it is a situation that's unsustainable. But this is one that is hopefully going to be done in future with sensitivity.
Well, if it's unsustainable, then why are the rebels making him change his mind? I mean, it does make the government look like it doesn't know what it's doing. And the Tories are having a field day, saying if you can't solve a little problem like this, you haven't got any hope of solving the really big problems.
I think the key thing to remember is what we're interested in here is outcomes. How are you going to get the best outcomes? How are you going to get more people into jobs? And certainly the way we've done it in Wales is we've stood by people, and making sure that that support is given in advance of any changes is absolutely critical, and clearly they've listened to that as well.
There are now furious quotes from inside the government about the rebellion, which you seem to support. I mean, you know, a notable one is it's deeply unserious stuff from deeply unserious people. They're sounding the death knell of the Labour Party and they don't even realise it.
But we've been consistent all the way along for a very long time since this was introduced, that actually my responsibility as First Minister of Wales is to speak up for the people of Wales and to demonstrate the disproportionate impact that it was going to have on some of our poorest communities and on some of our most vulnerable people. And so the government's listened. That's great news, and we will see some changes. But clearly we need to try and make sure we do things in future together with the communities that are likely to be impacted.
Is this going to help Labour fight off reform?
Well, I certainly hope so, because they are a genuine threat. I mean, we are taking them very seriously, and there's a real possibility that in future that reform could lead the government in Wales. Now, that is a deeply serious issue for us. That means dismantling of the NHS that people take for granted here. That means the end to free prescriptions that, again, people just assume is always going to be there for them in Wales, and workers' rights that are absolutely central to
we don't really know what it means yet, in fairness.
We are concerned.
I mean, isn't the trouble that you're the canary in the coal mine for Labour, and, you know, it looks like you're going to keel over to the strength of reform over the next year, and the same fate might befall Keir Starmer?
Well, we're absolutely focused on delivering for the people of Wales. We've seen our waiting lists come down, for example, by 60%. Those longest waiting lists between November and April. That's what people asked of us. We're just about to make an announcement on significant additional money to have tidy towns, making sure that people have pride in their communities. Because if they have pride in communities, they have pride in themselves.
But what do you think is the right way for Labour to try and beat reform? Is it to follow them down their various rabbit holes and talk about immigration and, you know, the issues that they are talking about, fight on their turf, or to do something else?
The key thing then is to make sure that we deliver on those people's priorities of the health service, of making sure we have social housing. We're working towards 20,000 new social homes in Wales, and of course in Wales it's been a long time since you were able to buy the council home, so that means that there's more social housing available because we did that earlier. So there's lots of examples where the UK Labour government are following what Wales has done.
But
like,
you're not
for example,
able to deliver, are you? That's
free
the
school
trouble.
breakfasts.
I mean, you're not, in fact, able to deliver. I mean, if you look at the health service, you know, it looks like you're going in the wrong direction and performing worse than England.
We've brought waiting lists down, the longest waiting list down 60% in the past 4 months or so. So this is absolutely going in the right direction. Why is it going in the right direction? Because we now have partnership in power. We have money for the first time in 14 years, after all those years of austerity, thanks to the UK Labour government, and we are investing that in the things that really matter to people.
Eluned Morgan, thank you very much.
Diolch.